Gather round, friends and strangers alike, as we journey into a world beyond our own. Close your eyes, open your minds, and dare to dream. You are entering the Mysterious Imperius DreamStream with your hosts, Ghost Hunter Dave, Troy to the Max Extreme, and Dinosaur Neil. In this 8th volume, we take a journey off the beaten path and arrive at the mysterious world's end, a rest stop outside of time and space where weary travellers share tales and companionship. Will these yarns provide merriment and revelry, or do they hint at darker tidings soon to come? Come in from the snow, grab a pint, and enjoy the camaraderie within the world's end.
Welcome everybody to the Imperius Rex DreamStream.
Yes!
I'm Troy to the Max Extreme.
I'm Dinosaur Neil.
And I'm Ghost Hunter Dave.
And today we are going over Volume 8 of Sandman, The World's End.
My gosh.
Yes.
Troy, we made it.
We've made it to Volume 8.
We still, I was going to say, we still have more to go.
Some of us barely got there, but we did it.
Can I just say, this was possibly the most under-the-wire reading that you have accomplished in
date.
Entire existence of Imperius Rex, right?
Yes.
Tell the audience when you finished it.
What is the time now? 8:11. I finished at 7:55. I did it though. Cheers, fellas.
Hey!
I'd also like to thank Paul for being here once tonight, being producer extraordinaire.
Hey, Paul. Oh, you got festive
Christmas
hat.
Paul.
Christmas Paul. And
I have my own mic now, so you can all hear me.
oh, we've got a mic. And
lapel even.
while we have all gathered here to ride out the storm, the reality storm that is 2021,
Yeah.
we recorded an episode, our Christmas episode, which will be airing next week.
Mm-hmm.
And in that, I bestowed some presents to my co-hosts.
Yes.
We also bestowed a wonderful present and burden to Paul. But so you can tune into that episode next week to see what those wonderful gifts were. But Paul, I forgot one thing. It is a card, a holiday card full of joyous holiday cheer. You'll find it right there. That present is for your girlfriend, Jasmine, actually. It's not associated with the card in any regard. But if you could open that card up real quick here. Go ahead, keep the camera on you, but please do not show the card on camera. Or we may risk
You're gonna
being
lose
demonetized.
Demonetized?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is just a quick little holiday offering to Paul.
Is it okay if I do it? Yeah.
Yeah, you can show the back.
Don't worry, Paul.
Wow. I was expecting that for the actual gift. But thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm just going to set that right here. Is that okay?
Looking you in the eye.
In the eye is an apt way to say that.
Wow. Is this an actual? Is this like...
We confirmed,
Is this yours, Dave?
We confirmed at our last filming, it's real, it's there.
If you look close, there's today's newspaper and a Coke can right by it. Yeah.
Thank you, Dave.
You're welcome. I love how the DreamStream has just been a catch-all of whatever dumb shit we wanted to do. Like, this is absolutely just the show Unbound.
Yes.
Boy, is it.
Man, I don't know how we'll ever actually reveal what is on that card.
Never.
I don't think we could. There'd be some sort of pornography charges filed against us. But maybe there will be a blurred image of something on our Discord if anyone wants to join that and catch an eyeful.
My.
But yeah, in the meantime, should we get back to
Volume 8!
Volume 8.
Yes.
And we're well lubricated here with this tiny mini keg. Tiny is a strange word for it because it's a very large drink here.
It's a very large can or a very small keg.
We grabbed this since we are going to be, talking about a tavern.
Yeah.
Oh,
for the
very
most part.
good, Dave.
So we have this here, and it's hard to track down. Let me tell you.
Much like The World's End from The World's
You
End.
just
movie.
happened upon that cake.
I did. I stumbled out of my car after being run off road by a deer thing. But let's get down to it, guys. We've spent enough time. We've got 4, 5, 8 people watching.
Wow.
Someone's on here by mistake, obviously.
Sorry, Franco Zambrano. You screwed up. You're watching the wrong stream.
Wrong stream. Can't sit here. Yes, World's End, Volume 8, issues 51 through 56. Boys, I'd say we're hitting the home stretch, but I'm going to save that for next month because it would be more accurate.
All right, very good.
This one was published in '93, features a host of illustrators because this is another anthology collection. We have some comic bigwigs like Mark Buckingham, a Tony Harris, a Michael Allred, personal favorite. And this one, like a lot of the anthologies in the Sandman series, features only brief hints of Dream and the Endless. Otherwise, it's just a bunch of stories.
Yes.
Maybe they tie in, maybe they don't. Your guess is as good as mine. I'm sure you can look into it a little deeper than we might. But by the end of it, we'll all be squinting as we get to the end of this keg, and maybe we'll make something out of it. Who's to say?
So, if I could, I would like to go ahead and give a brief synopsis on what the entire book was about, the entire volume. Please
Would you?
Could I?
You can.
It's very fresh in my mind.
I think you're the best one to give it then.
So, it circles around two folk, not lovers, but they did fondle each other at a Christmas party.
Oh
well,
my God.
That's
Well,
all
neither
neither one of
season.
them even talked about because it was very not
There
productive.
wasn't even a rumor in the office.
But they end up at this inn called the World's End.
World's End.
And it is quite a strange place. They get there after a car accident and kind of wake up there, and it's almost like a
whimsical womsical?
a whimsical womsical. I'm glad you brought that up. Yes. And there they meet quite a few colorful characters, whimsical womsical ones.
Whimsical characters.
Some being the people who own the tavern, some being other travelers themselves that mysteriously found their way there because of a storm, some being a centaur, some being a tiger-faced man that they never bring up, but he's there.
Tiger face.
But all together they sit around at like a little table and they tell themselves tales, and that's the tales that fill out this book.
That's right.
Book ended by two actually things happening in the actual inn.
Two things that are kind of important.
Yes.
Maybe one.
Yes.
Something to add to that, a little meta context to this, because we all know writers enjoy some meta context. This collection's title, The World's End, the setting, and a number of its themes and images were inspired by a poem from G.K. Chesterton. And that poem is called A Child of the Snows.
Okay.
So I dug a little deeper.
Oh, did a little detective work.
I did. I'm something of a detective myself. Got a couple sources, which I dug into. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to read this poem because I didn't get much out of this book. So I'm going to do a little, see if I can pull a little bit more out.
Yeah.
And I read it, and I was surprised how much this actually relates to the poem.
Okay.
So much so, in fact, that I was like, I think we should have this poem read on this show.
Okay.
So I looked online. I was like, can I find a good reading of this? Turns out I couldn't. So I was like, I know just the guy. I'm going to bring in the man upstairs here. All the way upstairs. No, not him. British Neil. Our humble narrator who does our introduction every episode. I was like, I can't find anyone online that's any better than our friend British Neil.
Wow.
Not our friend American Neil here.
Oh.
But British Neil.
My voice sucks compared to his.
Oh yeah. So I got him on the horn,
Uh-huh.
and I was like, Neil, would you read this? And he's like, I would be honored. Only he said it much better.
More
than
British.
that. Yes. So Paul, if you can just play this, it's a short poem. Don't tune out, and it's wonderfully read. So hang tight. 45 seconds tops. But here is the poem, "A Child of the Snows," that inspires this volume. Hit it.
There is heard a hymn when the pains are dim, and never before or again, when the nights are strong with the darkness long, and the dark is alive with rain. Never we know but in sleet and in snow, the place where the great fires are, that the midst of the earth is a raging mirth, and the heart of the earth a star. And at night we win to the ancient inn where the child in the frost is furled. We follow the feet where all souls meet, at the inn at the end of the world. The gods lie dead, where the leaves lie red, for the flame of the sun is flown. The gods lie cold, where the leaves lie gold, and a child comes forth alone.
Haunting.
It's chilling. I
Yeah.
actually got chills at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never enjoyed poetry as much as I did moments from then. Moments from now. And I'll never again.
No, never.
I vowed to myself I would not. So this tavern at the end of the world, I love it.
Yeah.
Here's one of my things that I love.
Oh boy.
I love a good paper towel dispenser. Just gonna throw that out
Yes,
there.
yep.
If it spits out 2 towels at the same time, I'm in heaven. one of my buttons. Another thing I love strangers gathered under mysterious circumstances to like some secluded place. And if they're telling tales, all the better. So this pushed all my buttons.
Sure.
And there was someone in a men's room in this. So, and I'm assuming it probably had a pretty top-notch paper towel dispenser.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just going to go ahead and give this 10 out of 10 right now. Flipped all my switches.
I really like the concept of this story as well. Like the World's End as a concept of like, this is where people go after they get lost in a storm, regardless of what the storm is. They are here until they need to leave.
Yeah.
I think that's an amazing idea. I really love the concept of this.
And the fact that, like, the travelers there are just any make and model of people.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's horse people. There's non-horse people.
Yeah,
There's anything in between.
And it doesn't matter what time you're from. Like, there's a guy
Right.
from 1997 in here, like, or
Yep.
whatever our main character's from, like the 93 or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, like, another person's like, oh shit, well, it's fucking like 1912 where I am right
Yeah.
now. So it's like,
And I'm a horse person!
and I'm a tiger-faced man who doesn't get my due.
And before we get into the story itself, I do want to make one more mention. This reminded me very much of The House on the Rock. I told you this and you just fucking brushed me off like I was talking out my ass. But if anyone in the chat, all 4 or 5 of them, 8, whew, all right. If anyone has heard or been to the House on the Rock, it is this just weird, eclectic tourist trap isn't the right word because it's more than that. But it was this just crazy, almost museum built by this architect years ago, and it's not far from us. It's like 45 minutes drive from us. We're in the Midwest. It's in Wisconsin, and we go there like every year. It's this awesome place. Neil Gaiman also has frequented this place, and in his novel American Gods, all of the gods go and meet in the House on the Rock. So I feel like, obviously he had a connection to this place. I feel like he wrote The World's End with the House on the Rock in mind as the setting.
There's no
That's
big
just
whale.
me. There's no big whale.
There's no
I feel like
carousel.
it could have used a whale. There's no carousel. There's no flying angels and 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. But, you know, I got that vibe. And it's a cool place. You ever been there, Troy?
I haven't.
Well,
Are
you're
you
missing
serious?
out.
Yes. Deadly.
I thought you would have been telling a lie about it for a second there.
You
I'll
should
never
go
lie
there.
about this.
It's so
okay.
cool. It's so cool.
It's
Paul,
very
you
neat.
ever been there? Paul, mic on?
Oh,
Paul, you
Yeah.
looking at that picture?
Sorry. Yes, Yes, I've been there.
Oh man, if we ever do an Imperius Rex meetup, we're meeting at the House on the Rock, just like the gods.
American Gods
and American
style,
Gods.
yeah. All right,
Yep,
fair
we're doing
enough.
it, and then we're burning it down.
Oh boy, don't tell them that. Are
Oh,
we doing that before or after we pay the cover charge for it?
oh, before.
Okay, good.
And then we're roaming around the cinders. But very cool place. If you're ever in the area, the Wisconsin area, check it out. But let's get to it. We've wasted enough time here.
Yeah.
Luckily, it's a shorter story, so we can run off the mouth a bit.
There's one thing I'd like to kind of touch on first about all of these stories is that so outside of the other like kind of anthology ones that we've done so far for Sandman, this one I feel like didn't necessarily even need to be a Sandman story. Like it felt very like it's cool that it's in the universe and to kind of build it out.
Yeah.
But I feel like it wasn't like this could have been any book.
Yeah.
It was the least Sandman of all the Sandmans.
Right.
Yeah.
I know before in other streams I've said like I don't even think I need Dream or Morpheus or any of them to really need to show up.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt like I needed him to show up a little bit more in this one
Yeah.
to make it worth it being a Sandman book. Like otherwise, like this could have been like a Neil Gaiman like DC presents some tale or whatever, you know?
Yeah, or just an adaptation of some of his short stories or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So should we kick it off?
Yes.
All right. So this is going to open up with a couple driving through a snowstorm and crashing due to a mysterious beast that's on the road. And this couple is Charlene and Brant Tucker.
Yes.
And as you said, colleagues and very, very short fondling lovers in the workplace. Right off the bat, I love the opening. I love that he captures the feeling of driving in a snowstorm in the middle of the night very well in his prose here. And then the crash itself, how he talks about how, like, it all happens in slow motion. And he's, like, completely calm and at ease, even though he's like, I'm going to die here.
Yeah.
You know? And then, like, suddenly the tree hit very quickly. And then, like, everything snapped into, like, full speed.
Yep.
I thought that opening, like, the first 5 pages, I was hooked. I was like, that is so expertly described.
Yes. Every time a Sandman volume starts, it always has like something in the beginning. I'm like, where is this going? But this one, I was hooked, line and sinker. I was also on that same page.
I think it was probably my favorite opening of any Sandman.
Yes.
To possibly my least favorite Sandman volume. As we'll see how I feel by the end of the episode, because sometimes they change.
Sometimes we talk each other into loving it.
Yeah. But yeah, they wake up, sprawled out from the crash. Brant comes to, he grabs Charlene and just trudges through the snow.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know what the fuck happened. I don't know what that thing was.
Right.
But like, we gotta get out of here. Oh, I just sat on a porcupine.
Yeah.
This place sucks.
I should mention that the snowstorm was in July or June too.
Yeah.
Like no snow should have been happening in the part of the world where they were
Right.
at, like
Yeah.
in the Midwest area.
But I like that he's like so tired. He's just like, fuck it.
Whatever.
Yeah.
This is weird. I hate driving in the snow. Fuck it. I'm just gonna hit this tree.
Is that how it went?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're driving to Chicago, which
Yeah.
another credence to my theory that it is House on the Rock.
I would like to disprove that it is not House on the Rock.
Well, it's not actually House on the Rock. Metaphysically, it is.
Because it's not like the freaking necromancer or whatever his name is was going to House on the Rock and ended up here.
Yeah, he was. I think
Guys,
he was.
Neil, comment down below.
Let us know.
Let us know.
Can we solve this?
Yeah.
Can we heal?
Yeah.
By the end of this episode. So they arrive through the snow to the World's End Tavern. A free house, it says on the sign. He walks in, and as we described, all manner of creatures are sitting here, telling tales, sharing drinks, under candlelight,
Yes.
just riding that storm out.
That's right.
A
It looks
centaur.
like a very nice, warm place to be.
It looks cozy.
It does. I like an old tavern-y feel.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
not enough places around here that have that either. But
No.
once you find one, whoo, it's good.
Oh,
yeah.
It's just sit there forever.
I
For
know.
ages.
Yeah.
Until the owners just push you out of their basement with a broom.
You gotta leave. This is the VFW.
This also reminds everyone, I was going to say me, but that sounds like I'm full of myself. It's obviously a nod to the Canterbury Tales, which was like a famous literary piece where all these travelers are telling tales.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's probably expected. So, not going to say I made that up. It's obviously a nod to the Canterbury Tales. So they get there. They're chatting with all these other people that seem to be trapped here, basically, until the snowstorm finishes up.
Right.
And someone calls it a reality storm. They're like, what's that? And they're like, don't worry about it. Why don't you tell a tale? All right, I will. So then we get the first tale of like 5 or 6 in this. And it is a tale of 2 cities.
Uh-huh.
And we'll notice the art changes every time a story is being told. This one is by Alec Stevens. And he has a very almost stained glass looking style, I feel like.
Yeah.
All of them are very like horizontal paneling. And it's interesting. I don't know if I'd want a whole comic like this, but I liked it in this segment.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a story about a man who kind of goes about his mindless suburban life, only to board the wrong train, encounter Morpheus, and emerge in a surreal city.
Yeah.
Where everything about the city feels off
Yes.
to him. It's like, what is this place? He discovers that he is in the city's dreams.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. He is in the dreams of a city that is sleeping.
Yeah.
And from there, he meets an old man who is just terrified of what would happen if the city were to awaken.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there on, he meets a woman who I first took as death. But upon further inspection, it's not. Gaiman said it is not death. It is a character that Alex Stevens has created from his own comic that he did before, a comic called Hardcore.
Okay.
Don't know any context to that, but she is apparently a bit modeled off a character from that. I felt like it had to be death because this man says, like, he looked at her, he, like, almost fell in love with her, but he felt like if he stayed with her, that would be it for him. He would
I
be
also
done
thought
with.
it was death, but apparently it is not.
Well, I'm
Because
going to say it is, because
Well,
it makes sense to me that it would be.
Yeah, I mean, even later on in the book, they have almost that exact same sentiment, and
Yes.
you know it is death.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I don't know. I really liked the premise of this story.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Like,
Yeah.
it is... I don't think it's the most exciting story in this, but the idea of it is cool to wrap your head around. It's like, it reminded me a bit like of how in The Authority, Jack Hawksmoor
Yeah, that's what I thought
has
too.
like a relationship with large cities and stuff, and maybe I'd love to just see him running on the power lines or something behind him,
His
even though he did
gross
not
feet.
exist at this point.
Yeah.
But like, I would love to. I just like that idea that like a city has like a heartbeat and like sentience or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it's got its own dreams, and I really like that this guy ended up getting caught in one, and even though it's familiar enough, he can't find his way out because he knows the city inside and out. It's his favorite thing.
Yeah.
He's like a boring, run-of-the-mill guy. The only thing he likes is cities. Like, you probably
Just
go
fucking
down...
loves cities.
You probably go into his basement, he's just got a model replica of the exact city he's in.
Out of Legos.
He's just got the little train set, and he's like, just moving the people around like tweezers and stuff. But
Just puts himself on the train and drives himself to work, and then like, has him work his little toy figures. This is the life. This is how I escape. That's what I do when I gotta unplug.
It just brought new meaning to like that whole like the city that never sleeps, like whether you're talking about like New York, Chicago kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But it's like when you say it like in our world, you're like, oh, it's just because like everyone's always doing something. But like I love it that gives the like another like layer of context of like of a city having its own persona.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
It reminded me of a Clive Barker type of story,
Oh,
and we just did some Clive Barker stuff in the Hills cities.
Yeah.
He's got some city
I
stuff.
love city stuff.
He does. The Midnight Meat Train has a lot in New York City, where it's almost like the city itself is a character.
Yeah.
And the whole like otherworldly esoteric nature of the city felt very like Lovecraftian too, where it's just like there's something alive in this like concrete city.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is, but like it feels evil. Like, you know, it's like he was scared of it. Like I don't know what it is, but everyone was afraid of it waking up.
Right.
It's like, what would that mean for us?
Sure.
If we're in this city and the city wakes up, what happens to us?
Yeah.
And there was also like these people that were like kind of flickering. I think they call them like the flickering people.
Yeah.
That they didn't know what was up with them. Like, were they people that were sleeping in the city? They were just like, they were static looking.
Yeah.
And they didn't know, like, what's up with these guys? Like,
Right.
where am I? What is going on here?
Yeah.
A lot of unexplained things in this. But just a cool concept that ultimately doesn't amount to a whole lot in this. It's just like a lot of these stories, it's just like, hey, here's a weird story. What's it mean? I don't know.
Who knows?
And by the end of it, that man who's telling the story, like, he went and he lived in the country. And he's like, I'm fucking done with cities, man. And he was just terrified of, like, you don't know what those motherfuckers are going to do when they wake up.
They're big!
They're big!
Haven't you seen them?
Yeah.
Jacob in the chat, he said, this reminds me of Italian author Italo Calvino's Invisible Cities.
Oh.
I'm not familiar with that. But
By the title, sounds like it could be
sounds like it
hitting all the
could be a
marks.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this one didn't like... The concept of it was wowing, but like overall I'm just like, oh, that was kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
But like, let's go back to the inn.
Yeah. So this story ends, as they all do, in a very Mike Mignola Hellboy style of like, all right, who's next?
That's
that. Now who's up? Issue ends, next one, someone else starts. The next story is, this might be my least favorite of them, so I might be brief on this, but this is Cluracan's Tale.
Yeah.
And this is the fairy that we met in Season of Mists.
Yeah.
The one that tried to sell his sister to Morpheus.
Right.
Well,
He gave his sister to Morpheus for Morpheus to like consider giving him the key to hell.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't. He's like, well, you can keep her.
Yeah.
Like,
And then she gets told to stop dancing in his rooms.
yes. I had to put this in there because old Brant Tucker's using the men's room, and look at this gnarly motherfucker that just steps out of the stall next to him. Can you imagine going to the urinal and seeing this ghastly looking
some
guy
guy
come up next to you?
Just pissing dust.
What's his name? Like Clapcroft or something?
Yeah, something like
Old
that.
Claptrap. So then they go on and Cluracan. How do you pronounce it?
That's kind of how I was saying
That's what
it.
I was saying.
Cluracan?
Yeah.
His tale. And this is drawn by John Watkiss, who I'm not familiar with anything else he draws,
Right.
but he has a very simpler style. It's actually kind of similar to the City author there.
Yeah.
Different panel layouts, though. So, Paul, if we jump to the next one here. This one, Cluracan tells of his own journey to Aurelian, which was kind of like a Roman city.
Yeah.
Where he was sent to ensure that a political movement doesn't happen, and by doing so, he offends the ruler, who is a religious figure and a psychopomp, they call him, which apparently is someone that, like, helps the recently dead move on to the afterlife.
Okay.
I had to look that up. I was like, what the fuck's a psychopomp?
Yeah. I figured it was just a mix of a religious leader and like a political leader all mixed into one, which it kind of is.
Kind of a medium,
Yeah.
I think, too.
Yeah.
Or he fancied himself as something of a psychopomp myself. But Cluracan offends him, and he is imprisoned. And they're like, what does the ruler say he's gonna do?
Oh,
Piss in his eye sockets.
Gouge out his eyes and piss in his eye socket.
He does it to everybody.
Yeah, it's his thing, I guess. It's like, oh, he's done it before. You're like,
I've seen it.
he'll do it again.
I like when it's brought up, because it's almost brought up just like that in the book. He's like, I've seen him do it. And he's like, all right. Yeah, okay. Take it easy, fella.
Yeah.
Because, like, even before then, like, even the freaking guy who actually does the pissing, he's just like, I'll do it, I'll piss in your eye sockets. And the guy, like, he's like, he'll do it.
This right-hand man over there's like, I'm paid to tell him
He's
that
like,
he's going to
yeah.
do it.
I see empty beers here.
Oh,
What?
hey, barkeep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Man, we really are in the inn.
Wow.
We're in the inn.
Old tavern wench, get us some more beer.
Oh, Paul's over there just chugging his glass.
I'll get to you, Paul.
So, at the beginning of this, Claricon is, like, pretty much talking about how his tale is very boring and nobody should listen to it because it's, like, it's very inconsequential. And I'm like, oh my god, if we're actually going to tell the story, fuck off. Like, I don't want to hear this. And then end up being, like, not that boring because it's, like, deals with, like, elves and this weird fucking psychopomp fella.
Yeah. So
Essentially Baron Harkonnen.
yeah, it is. It is. So I actually, so I got that impression too. He's like, oh, you're not going to want to hear it. It's really boring and such.
Yeah.
And then while I was reading it, I'm like, you sly son of a bitch, I'm liking this, you son of a gun. And I thought it was interesting because throughout the story, Cluricon, or whatever his name is, always keeps saying that you can't trust him, and what is true and what's a lie and what's all this.
Yeah.
I found that interesting as well, as to like what, and that he kind of.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Bar
that
keeps trash.
he might embellish things.
Keg is trash.
He might not. He gets in a dueling fencing
Yeah.
fight with somebody. He's like, I may or may not have made that up.
Yeah.
It's up to you to
I might
decide.
have thrown in there because it was not a very exciting story.
But like, I actually did find it kind of exciting, like pretty fun. In all honesty, so it actually kind of worked for me.
It ended up being like not as boring as he stated, but also to me not as exciting as I thought it would be. Like because
After
I
saying
know,
how
he,
boring
yeah,
it is.
I know
He's
he's
really
gonna,
selling the story.
I know.
That's
about,
much
as,
better.
about as well as he did.
Yeah. So I kind of like expected like, oh, it's gonna be boring, and then it was like, oh no, it's gonna be exciting and sword fights and all this type of stuff. And it hit in the middle.
Yeah.
It never really made it to the point I wanted it to, and it wasn't as boring as he stated.
Yeah.
I feel like when it really got going for me, it was over. Like, it took a
Oh, yeah,
while
sure.
to get going. And then when it did, it was like, yeah, it was alright.
We did learn that his kind can't go through cold iron bars, which
Oh,
is
that's
weird.
That's
That's
like a
something.
Hellboy trope.
Yes.
Fairies don't like iron.
Yeah, that's a old fairy tale. That
Oh!
fairies don't like iron or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Iron
Old
shoes.
iron. Iron shoes. That's right. Best beware them. So while he's imprisoned,
Yeah.
he's in there in the dungeon, and all of a sudden he's met by his sister. She like ferries in there,
Yeah.
and it's is it Nuala?
Yep.
Something like that.
Nuala?
Moana.
Moana. Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And she's like, brother, what have you gotten yourself into? He's like, I'm fine, don't worry about it.
Chains,
You know
most
what?
likely.
You want me to? Yeah, iron. You want me to bring in the Dream Lord? You want me to bring him all the way down here?
No! You
And
want to bring the dream
he does. Morpheus shows up, and he's like, you want freed? He's like, I wouldn't.
Yes,
would
please.
turn it down. And he does. He frees him, and then he's like, all right, I guess I'm good to go. I'm going to go fuck up this psychopomp.
Yeah.
See you later.
Also, very cool looking Dream Lord there.
Yeah, I really like
Yeah.
the look of Morpheus in this.
Bye, barkeep.
Bye.
We'll,
Bye.
we'll yell to you if we need your services.
All right,
Gather
we're
around.
watching on the big screen up there.
Oh
so.
boy, the kids too.
Yeah, so keep
Good
it.
thing Paul didn't show that
Yeah,
card.
that's-
Oh, they've seen it.
Well, it wasn't on purpose.
It was on the printer!
I do like the look of Morpheus in this. Great look.
Morpheus has never looked better than in these anthologies when he's like through someone else's eyes.
Yeah.
I also like too that he like shows up for him. Like why?
Yeah. He was gonna leave some of these poor women just stranded in like some shattering dimension,
Right.
but like, yeah, I'll
This
help this
shithead,
fairy
he's
shit.
like, yeah, I'll get him out of here, I guess. Maybe he'll have to owe me one. I don't know.
Yeah. So when did this take place? If he already has Nuala as his servant,
So
or is it
I
just
d-
like all out of time and space? And
I
it
did
doesn't matter.
think about that briefly, but I'm like, maybe Dream's realm kind of just
Yeah.
happens all omnisciently, like all over the place.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not to
So-
mention there's this whole weird time thing with the actual World's End Tavern itself.
Mm,
It's
that's
just
true.
all fucked.
Yeah. So I kind of just brush that off. It's like,
Yeah.
who cares?
Yep, agreed. So Cluracan escapes, and he's going to enact a quick, swift justice. Cold justice.
Yeah.
Cold as those iron bars.
Oh boy.
So he goes around town, spreading rumors that the ruler is doing all sorts of horrible pedophilic and just terrible, terrible things
Yeah.
around the town, and turns all of his subjects against him, and then somehow brings the previous ruler's corpse back from the dead to enact just the swiftest justice
Oh, yeah.
on him. They go tumbling out the stained glass window, and he's eaten by dogs
Yes.
in the streets. And that's that.
Like the dog that he is.
That's that.
Brush your hands off of that one. That one's done.
Yep.
Before we jump off of this story, though, I will say I really enjoy the artwork in this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I like
like,
this one
me
too.
It reminded me a lot of Fables artwork. Quite a bit.
Yeah,
and it
it
might
does.
have even been inked by
Buckingham.
Buckingham.
Yeah.
I know
he did ink a few of these.
Yeah,
so
I
that
don't
was
know which
probably
ones
one
he
of them.
did, but it looked like, and I really enjoy that artwork. So
Yep,
that's it.
Yeah, I did like the wrap up on this. I thought that was like, oh, this is when it's getting good, but it was just like summed up in 2 pages. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I could use a little more of that.
Yeah.
All right.
There's also a lot to take in on this one story too, because you have to like learn about where he's from and like kind of why he's sent on this thing, and he's got Queen Mab
Yeah.
is like ruling him, and she's a part of this whole land, and then the land's a part of this whole thing, and you got to go meet him because it's like
Yeah,
it's
that-
fucking too much.
I
thrown
just
at me at
fucking
once.
washed over that
Yeah.
stuff. Like, I'm just not a big like medieval reader,
Neither am I.
so none of that really stuck with me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me neither.
Next.
Next
up.
Next story.
Next up. So this one is Hobbes Leviathan.
Oh.
And this is told by a young cabin boy named Jim, recounting his days on a ship at sea. There's a couple revelations throughout, which I guess we'll hold on to until the end. Not that it matters at all, because we're obviously going to spoil this. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm assuming most people that are watching kind of know something about this, but I'll just keep it for the spirit of the story.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, it's just basically about this young lad who's wants to go off and sail the seas. He
Right.
escaped his home life, didn't really care for his upbringing, and he set out to explore the world.
Yeah.
Be an old salt.
This is one of my stronger stories in this, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just I have like
And married to the sea.
Yes, I love a good knot, and I'm married to the sea. But I don't know why. It was like a simple story. It didn't have any like huge like
Nothing too fantastical
nothing
until that one
yeah,
thing.
nothing really supernatural. It was just like, hey, I just want to have like an adventurous life.
Yeah.
And the person does, and I'm like, you know what, this is kind of fun. Meet some other like, I guess I was creeped out by them. Like the people who like buy their way and stow away on that ship or whatever. I'm like,
Yeah.
What's up with these guys?
So I thought that exact same thing too. Of like, there's a guy who buys his way onto his ship, and then there's like a stowaway who's equally as weird. But like, then the guy who stowed away, or bought his way onto the ship was like, I'm paying for him too, and you're like, they're up to no good. And then
Yeah.
you find out, I think they just wanted to go to fucking London or wherever they were sailing to.
I was waiting for the shoe to drop something horrible.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen. It almost left me in a state of like unease because I'm like, something could still happen though, right? Like, when is it going to happen? And it never did.
Yeah, so it's an Indian stowaway is found on board, and the other person that bought his way on ship, who I will just say it's Hob.
Yeah.
The guy's name is Hob.
Yeah.
He was Hob from the Doll's
and Shaw.
House. Yes, Hobbs and
Yeah.
Shaw. He was Statham or the other one. I don't know which. Nick is probably rolling over in his grave right now because I don't know. But he persuades the captain to let this Indian dignitary essentially stay on the ship.
Yeah.
And they just kind of, like, they strike up kind of a friendship there among themselves and the young cabin boy.
Yeah.
And they just all kind of chat and tell stories.
Yeah.
More stories within stories.
Yeah.
A lot of stories within stories in this one.
Yes.
there
They
is.
talk about mermaids and all kinds of sea serpents and what's make-believe and what isn't.
Yeah.
And then the stowaway tells I thought a pretty cool story about a apple.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I actually forgot that was in this one. But yeah, yes, yeah.
Yeah, and from what I've heard, this story comes to play again later. This character shows up again later in the series. So
Okay.
it was something that, like, once I figured that out, I was like, all right, I'm going to make mention of this.
Okay.
Because this must be important. But this stowaway tells a story about a king who is given the fruit of immortality.
Mm-hmm.
And Paul, I've got to... Yeah, there we go. Pop that slide up, baby. He gives it to his wife, and she gives it to her lover.
Who's not?
Not the king.
Not the husband.
No. But then that lover gives it to his lover, who is not the wife of the king. And this apple just gets passed around from all these different people that are essentially like having affairs behind the back of all these people until it comes to like the king's concubine who gives it back to him. And he gets his own apple back and he's like, fuck! It's like, well, shit.
Yeah. And I'd feel bad if we missed that the apple was given to them by this weird, like, shaman.
Very stringy shaman Indian
who
man.
cuts his own
Cuts his
hand
own-
off.
Yeah. There's another character that like loses a hand in this too.
They
Maybe
love
that's another
doing that.
theme. Gaiman loves losing hands.
Just as much as Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like he stands at the gates and he's like, "Let me in! I have this apple for the king." No, I'll cut my fucking hand off. He does, and they're like, gross. All right,
Do it.
Go.
Do it. Cut it off. I don't care.
It's back on now. All right, go in.
So the king gets the apple back and he's like, ah, shit. Well, killing my wife, killing her lover. And then
I'm
he eats
living
the
forever,
apple.
motherfuckers.
And it just like, and then he just roams the land forever, immortal,
Yep.
but like without any loves,
Right.
because like his love came back to him.
Yep.
Yep.
It's like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
More interesting than most of these.
Yeah.
I thought,
And
like it
told
kind
in
of.
less time.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
only 2 pages. Might be my favorite story out of this.
In these anthology ones too, I'm always trying to like Charlie Kelly pin threads to like something else that might happen. So I'm like, oh shit, is one of these Indian guys this other Indian guy, the magic orb guy from like few volumes ago?
I know. I
or
thought,
whatever
like,
it
was
is?
it the guy that has the flying carpet and gave
Yeah,
Dream his
that's
kingdom?
the one. Yeah.
No.
It's not. See,
It's
fuck,
not.
fuck me.
But apparently this Indian guy shows up again.
Okay.
And
cool.
apparently this king is the stowaway on the ship who's telling the story. It's him. It's himself.
Oh, how do you like
How
that?
do you like them apples?
I like it a lot. I
that
like your
actually
pun
makes
as
this
well.
a lot more interesting because I never
Yeah,
put
so
that
it's him.
together.
He's telling his own story there.
God, what an
Wait.
arrogant prick.
What's even more interesting is Hob also is living forever. So 2 dudes living forever, meeting on a ship, stowing away.
So do you think those 2 guys like
Planned it all.
either planned it all
Moral
or like
pros.
because the first guy who paid his way on board was like, oh shit, there's another guy on board. I'm gonna go see what he's about. He's like, oh shit, you live forever too? I'm paying for him.
Yeah. Also, I want to know like how he like because you never get to see the conversation to the captain or whatever. The captain's this old
Codger.
codger
Yeah.
kind of guy. Not a terrible man, but just like old and set in his ways.
Just
Yeah.
And they're
old.
like, come on, let's
Yes.
talk to you. You never see the conversation. I wonder if it's like, listen, we live forever. Can we just like? He's like, comes back out. He's like, all right, crew, they're staying. I can't tell you why, but they're staying.
But they're working. But they're staying.
Except for him, he paid, I guess. He didn't have to work, he paid, I guess. But him, you better believe he's working.
Good stuff. I also like that there's a moment when they're all talking and Hob is telling cabin boy Jim the secret to not drowning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that secret is
Don't.
you just don't drown.
Yeah, do it.
You just don't. And Jim's like, yeah, right. And he's like, no, I'm serious. Just don't drown. And that's it. That's where they leave it. I'm like, all right.
Apparently that's how
It's
you
that
do
simple. Has your dad tried that?
it. No.
No, but I could that'll be
Let
my
him know.
Christmas gift to him.
You know,
Yep.
I've got some knowledge for it.
Got something that may save your life.
Read something in a book.
50-50 chance. Granted, it's a book about fairy tales.
You ever just tried not drowning, Dad?
Might work out.
So they're just having a good time on board the ship, and then all of a sudden, lo, what to their wandering eyes should appear but a giant sea serpent
Yeah.
sprouting out of the water and wiggling around like a big floppy dick.
Yeah. This
That comes
thing,
back.
This? The floppy dick?
Yeah.
To talk about it being a floppy
Oh,
dick.
yeah. The,
Paul, we got any floppy dick pics?
Half floppy.
Half floppy.
That is a big dragon. It's like friggin' Shenron over here.
Wow, I get it. Dragon Ball Z.
I didn't get it. That would be horrifying.
Oh my
That
god.
would be
it
like that thing in the House on the Rock.
That big whale!
Big whale. A whale.
This actually...
Hey, it's there.
Man, Paul is on the button.
This actually was one of my favorite parts of the book. When they come out, like, there's a big whale, and they're like, oh my god, I've got to tell everyone I've seen about this whale. And...
Wait, a whale?
Or not whale, I'm sorry.
It's like,
This
are you
fucking
leading to
big,
something?
This big sea serpent.
Yeah.
And, like...
A whale!
And, like, the guy's like, you can do it, but is anyone gonna believe you? Like,
Yeah,
who believes
I like
these who believes these sea stories, these sea shanties?
Yeah.
The Wellerman. Is he gonna come with his tea and rum?
After a good tonguing's done.
But I thought that was such an interesting thing. Like, we don't tell these stories out at sea because no one's gonna believe us, or like that. It's just all that kind of like.
Yeah, he's like, we
Yeah.
see stuff like this.
Yeah.
Like, that's sea life, baby.
Yeah.
Also, you're a chick.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And that's when we find out that old cabin boy Jim is actually a woman.
That's right.
Young girl.
Yep.
Who doesn't want to be, like, in society that, like, women can't sail.
Right.
She's like, I want to sail. He's like, our character Hob here, who she thinks is, like, his relatives. It's actually him from, like, decades and decades ago. So
Yeah.
we realize, like, oh, holy shit, this is Hob. This is Dream's friend, the immortal guy that made the deal with Dream that he was just going to live forever.
Yeah.
And he's just been living forever. And,
Still looking great.
yeah, oh my god, looking great.
Look at
That
that
hair.
trimmed up beard.
Uh-huh.
My god.
This must have been when he was doing well. He had a couple
Yeah.
of bad bouts there.
Yeah, oh my
He
God.
got into slavery, and then Dream told him not to. And he's like, all right.
This
won't
is
be a
probably
slaver."
after slavery. Then, I guess.
Yeah.
Or right before slavery.
And yeah, he basically says, like, just, forget what you saw. Over time, these mysteries and secrets, they just become curiosities. And then that's it. And they're
Yeah.
just like fables.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, cool,
Neat.
interesting.
To be fully transparent, I forgot that he was Hobbs.
All right.
Even though he said his name, could not put together that we've already met this guy before.
You're still in the Fast and the Furious mindset.
I'm still Hobbs and Shaw right now.
Oh,
And
God.
trying to figure out which one's is Hobbs and Shaw.
I could. You could say it's this one. I would just agree with you. Like, I have nothing
I'm pretty
better.
sure it's The Rock. And The Rock is out, from
See-
what I hear.
He's done.
Vin
might-
Diesel
Him
and
and
him.
Vin don't see eye to eye,
That's
even
right.
when you Photoshop them to align themselves.
Much to Vin's dismay.
shoot.
Thoughts on Hobbs and Shaw and the breakup?
What do you think about Black Superman?
This is wait, what happened?
Did you ever see Hobbs and Shaw?
Calvin and Hobbes?
Yes.
Let's move on.
All right. Next story. My personal favorite.
Oh, okay.
The Golden Boy. And this is told by an old brittle Asian man in a library
Yeah.
in the World's End. And it focuses on Prez Ricard.
Yes.
Ricard?
I said Rickard.
I said Rickard.
Ricard.
No, that's not how we said it at all.
Ricard.
No.
The youngest president of the US of A.
Yes.
And this was originally series way back when
Yeah.
in 1973.
So I looked that up too, because a lot of these things, like a lot of the names in these, like if they say a specific name, I'm like, I'm instantly gonna Wikipedia this just
Yeah.
to see if it's a thing. Lo and behold, It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
And this is just a summary of what happens in his entire comic run, apparently.
Yeah.
And that's pretty awesome. Like, I love,
Yeah.
like, these, like, kind of cool tie-ins.
I knew that this was a book once it got started. I'm like, okay, I knew Prez is a book.
Yeah, because they tried to relaunch it not too long ago
Yeah.
in like that new DC
Yep.
relaunch.
Yeah.
And it didn't go over well.
It did not do anything as
Nope.
far as I know. But I also wanted to kind of look into more of like, hey, maybe I should pick that up. I don't know how long the run is.
I don't think it was very long.
Good. But this was also my favorite one too. I don't know if it's because
It was the art.
Mike Allred is amazing.
fucking
And he
kills
can make
it.
anything look amazing and
so
sell it.
fucking groovy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my god, groovy is the right word.
Shagadelic, baby.
Oh, yeah. So many turtlenecks and shit.
Oh, the smiley face buttons. I got such a big Watchmen vibe, not only from all the smiley faces and Boss Smiley, but also like he was a watchmaker. So there's all these like watch motifs
Oh,
through
yeah,
it too.
shit,
And I was
yeah.
like, God, is there an intentional Watchmen vibe to this? I don't think there was, but that's just what I took away from it.
Right.
It reminded me of like the before Watchmen Silk Spectre story
Oh, yeah.
too, which was also in the 70s.
Right.
And just everything about the aesthetic, just like they connected.
So maybe we should be saying Watchmen has big Prez vibes.
Oh, I think so.
Tell Alan more
Nope.
of that.
Oh, shit. I'm not telling him shit.
I'll call him tomorrow.
Okay.
Right. But yes, this one. Do you think Boss Smiley was in the original one, or
I
do you
have
think he was
no
made up for
idea.
this?
Because
I have
it
no
was
idea.
freaky as hell.
Yes,
You
it
sure
was.
was.
The guy with a moon face.
And everyone was just okay with it.
Oh,
They're
look at
like,
that!
why are you not regular looking, you fucking lemon
And
head?
he only has half a head too.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I hate it.
Need to recompose myself here.
God, sick.
So this golden boy, Prez,
Mhm.
he is born, he's like, I'm going to become president of the United States. And better yet, I'm going to be the best fucking president this United States has ever had. It doesn't deserve me as president. And he goes and he does it. And this whole time, Boss Smiley is there tempting him, like, you know, I can make this easier for you. I can make you president. You don't have to do nothing. You just have to, like, owe me. He's like, no, I'll do it on my own. Don't worry. I got it, boss.
Yeah. What's funny is the world bent over backwards for him anyway without President Smiley's like thing anyway. It's like,
Right.
well, now you can be president at 18, I guess. He's like, well, I'm 18. I guess I'm going to be president now.
But did they put that bill in order so they could get Prez in the seat?
Who knows?
I don't know. Maybe it was after that influential dream from Richard Nixon that he had, where he wakes up in the middle of the night, or he's asleep, and he just has a visit from Nixon.
Yeah, right in his bedroom.
Yes!
Like he
As he's
climbed up the
shirtless.
trellis and
Yeah.
like climbed in his windows like, listen here, buddy.
Basically tells him, like, the president does nothing. You make no difference. He's like, no, I'm going to do something great. He's like, why the fuck would you want to do something great? You just do it for the name in the history books on the free parking. And Prez is determined to change that. He's like, I'm going to fix this fucking world.
Good
I'm going
on
to make
him.
this place... I'm going to make this place shine.
Yeah, fuck you, Nixon. I'm gonna do it, and you're
Yeah.
gonna see, old dick-nosed bitch.
Yeah.
Can we just say, Nixon, no good.
He's
yeah, I think
We
we,
take
can
a
definitively
stand.
say it.
Imperius Rex says Nixon was no good.
I'm going to say he was a crook.
Whoa.
I'm just-
Crook,
call me
you're
crazy.
saying. Okay.
Call me crazy. Nixon,
Oh, jog
You're a
on,
crook.
bitch.
you're a fucking crook. Oh, man, let's see how quick the Imperius barkeep gets down here.
Oh, boy. I will say, Prez, if you can cancel that student loan debt, oh boy, would I be so happy.
Yeah, you know what? He would have.
You would.
God damn
Oh
it.
my
Oh,
God.
yes.
I hear it.
New outfit.
That button was not.
The button wasn't holding.
No.
Could have been a wardrobe malfunction.
Oh, my God.
We don't need to be taken off the internet twice almost tonight.
Yeah. See, she's got an earpiece in, like Secret Service. She's probably talking to Nixon.
Talking to Prez right now.
Shit!
Yeah, this one was fun, and it doesn't have like a ton of supernatural stuff in this one either. It just was like
Just a fun
A good story.
yeah, of a guy who just wanted to do good,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I that's very refreshing.
Yes, it is.
So he's elected, and he begins to change the world for the better, and he's adored. Shows all these wonderful things he's doing. He gets John Belushi to not do drugs and live like a wonderful, like long-lived life. Guests on SNL with him and all this stuff.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Everybody
I think we're all good. Oh shit, we're gonna need a dish. We're gonna need a bar rag.
needs more foam, right?
Yeah, sop up
Do you
some
need
of
me to
that
come clean
liquid.
you up, Troy?
No. Well, no.
Here, there's a Christmas card there that you can sop up some of the spill with.
All right, you call if you need me, guys.
All right.
I got.
Thanks. Got business to manage. All right.
What a treat.
Yeah, but oh man, Prez, he won me over. I fucking love him.
So
Might
great.
be one of the best characters in Sandman.
It made me want to go look up his series. It was
Yeah.
so good. I'm like,
Yep.
I like this a lot. Let's go find it.
Yep. But unfortunately, he can't be riding high forever
No.
because an unfortunate failed assassination attempt. I mean, that seems weird to say. An unfortunate failed assassination attempt.
Yeah.
He's okay, but his fiance is murdered by a Wildcat fangirl.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of all characters, like, I don't know if any of this is from the original series, but if it is, I'm on board.
Yeah.
Like, what on
Well,
earth is going on
It's
here?
just as obscure as that chick who tried to assassinate
Reagan.
Reagan, and she's like, Jodie Foster told me to do it or
Yes,
whatever. It's
I
like,
think that's what it was supposed to be inspired from.
it's like,
I love that they picked Wildcat of all because like I actually had to flip back through because I saw Wildcat at before. I'm like, is he just Prez's bodyguard for some fucking reason? I don't know. Does he just box folks for Prez? I have no
Boxing for
idea.
Prez.
Yeah, I don't
Boxing
know.
Nixon.
But I love that Wildcat's in it.
yeah.
You love to
I
see
like
him.
Wildcat.
Wildcat's great.
Oh my god. I like Wildcat too. Seems like something that we can get behind.
Let's read some Wildcat stuff.
Let's.
Oh my
Oh
God.
my god.
9 people in the chat. Any Wildcat recommendations? Has he ever had a book?
It's probably just in JSA.
Yeah. Give us some Wildcat reads.
Just teach him Black Canary how to fight again or some shit.
But after that, Prez finishes out his second term, but he's not the same.
No.
His heart isn't in it anymore. He still run the country, but a bit of a lame duck
Yeah.
situation.
More of a
there.
recluse now.
Yep, just
A
fixing
recluse
watches.
duck.
A recluse duck. A cautious mallard. So he just keeps to himself, and then eventually, once he serves his term, he just like kind of disappears and wanders the earth.
Yeah.
And he's just like going around almost like Jesus. This whole
Yeah,
thing is a
right.
very like American Jesus type of story.
Yeah.
Where it's just a dude that comes in, just wants to do good and like help people.
And then dies.
And then dies, yeah. And then he just kind of unceremoniously dies. And
Yeah.
there's all these different theories, like how he dies, but eventually he winds up meeting death, and goddamn, Mike Allred draws a smoking death.
Oh,
Best
yeah.
she might have ever looked.
Oh, boy.
And
And
he-
super broad shoulders there on Dream. My
Oh,
God.
yeah. It's the 80s, man.
Yeah.
He gets to those pearly gates, and who does he find at the throne of heaven but Boss Smiley?
What a bitch.
And Boss Smiley's telling him, like, hey, there's multitudes of Americas. Like, you could do this all over the place. And he's like, ooh, I would very much like to do that.
Yeah.
Boss Smiley's like, well, tough shit, you can't.
Yeah. And you gotta work for me. He's like, I ain't working for you. I ain't no puppet, okay? I'm me. I'm Prez. I'm gonna do whatever I want. Then Dream shows up. Dream's like, yeah,
Hey, Prez, I like the cut of your jib. I like your style, boy.
why don't we just fucking both turn around, give the finger to Boss Smiley, and we're gonna get out of here.
All right, Prez, on 3. 1, 2, 3.
And they do it, and the whole time Boss Smiley, you can't do this! You can't do this to me! And Prez is like, whoa, Dream, he's pretty powerful. Like, I guess he's God or whatever. He's like, you don't mean shit.
You
Okay.
leave
Yeah.
him to me.
Smiley face bitch. She ain't got nothing on me.
Nothing.
Endless.
Ever heard of him?
You moon-faced motherfucker. But that's it. And then he said, Dream basically says, like, yeah, go ahead. Go wander the multiverse of Americas and just be Prez. Be you.
Mm-hmm.
Be you.
That's right. It was kind of weird that, like, Death, like, led him there. you would think that she kind of knows like what's in store.
I think she led him there so that he could meet Dream. I think.
Okay.
It's like Dream could pop in and like scoop him out.
I
Give him
also
the finger
think-
one more time.
Yeah,
maybe.
that's very true. I also think Death, as much as we all love her, is still like just chaotically neutral. Like
Yeah,
to
that's true.
everything. So it's like
Yeah, but this boss fight was so much of a
he
dick.
sucks. I get it. I get it.
I took it that Death like took him there, but then was like, "Hey, Dream, can you like go sort this out?"
Yeah.
Like I gotta do my thing. My hands are tied here. You know.
That
I got
could
a
be.
lot of other people to
Yeah,
do right now.
this is like an assembly line. It essentially runs itself. But
Yeah.
can you step in here and just like, get this thing on the right path? But that was it. Yeah. Then it's like, and then people tell tales of his stories and his teachings all over the world.
Yeah.
And this old Chinese man is like, oh, I would very much like to meet him. It's just like it's so weird coming from like an Asian man. It's a very American story,
Right.
An American Jesus story.
Yeah.
It's like, what a strange storyteller to tell
Right.
this.
Right.
I wonder if there's any reasoning behind that.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I couldn't figure.
It could have
that
been
out.
just like some, like hick Midwesterner. Could have been us.
Could have been one of us.
Old Prez. We got our Prez buttons. But yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
I love that one. The art just fucking killed
So
it.
good.
Yeah.
Golly.
Hard one to top.
It is.
And then the next and last story within the story, but there's many stories within this story, so hang tight, friends, is Ceramint's.
This is one of the old codgers we met in the bathroom taking a piss. He's part of this story, and
Yeah.
good lord, is this one weird.
Yeah. So this one is, it's told by Petrifax, who is a apprentice to this, like, Solomon Grundy looking group of people that they live in a necropolis called the Lethargy.
Yeah.
And that is a city devoted to the burial rites of various cultures. And they're just like a bunch of zombie-looking people that just specialize in disposing of bodies, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's not as interesting as it sounds.
Unfortunately not. No.
This one's illustrated by Shea Anton Pensa. And illustration's good. Just
Yeah,
the
I love
story
the-
itself was just like, I'm not sold on it.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me, like this society reminded me of the Clarion the Witch Boy society in Seven Soldiers by Grant Morrison. Just this group of like almost puritanical people that like lived underground.
Yeah.
And just were obsessed with these really bizarre burial rites.
Yeah.
So during their air burial, the attendees begin telling stories within stories within stories.
Yeah.
And the first story...
Lord chimes in. This is probably where the Undertaker's from.
That's it.
Oh,
That's not true. He's from Death Valley.
Oh, boy.
Anyway, go
Good
on.
to clarify.
Thank you.
We don't want to spread any false truths. The first story that some of these Undertakers tell is about Billy Scutt, who is a master hangman who tricks his own jailers into permitting him a natural death rather than a death at the noose as he was sentenced. And that's a story. It's nothing much, but that's a story.
Yeah.
That is a story.
Some of these little stories within this story aren't too like they have some they have some interesting threads in them. Like this hangman, like you pretty much like you can either hang now and die, or you're the next hangman of the city.
Until you're ready to die.
Until you're ready to die by hanging. So it's just like, but so what I liked about this story is just like how at the end of this one he tricks the people. He's like, oh, I'm on my deathbed, I'm ready to die, and the people are like, well, we're gonna hang you then.
Getting that noose all tightened up.
But what he does is he uses his own like knowledge, and he essentially
his knotting skills.
Yeah, he weekended Bernie's himself, so people hoist him up on a like a hangman's noose, essentially, to like be like, I ain't dying
I'm
today,
fine.
you sons of bitches, I'm good, and then just dies the night. But he's like, I died on my own terms, on all this. I didn't get hanged. I'm all good to go. But like, it was just kind of an interesting little thing, I thought.
I mean, really, if he's gonna die that same night, what the fuck difference does it make? Die by the news, die in your bed. I don't think it makes much.
Didn't
want
want to be hanged.
Didn't want to be hanged.
It's embarrassing.
It is a bit embarrassing. You probably
Just
shit
hanging
yourself.
Aren't you gonna hang him? That's a Laurel and Hardy joke.
The next story, this one might be the most interesting in the grand scope of things, was about destruction arriving at an earlier version of Lethargy, the city, which this version of the city hadn't preserved the funeral rites that they take so into account now. And that leads to the decimation of the city because the Endless arrive and they're like, hey, we want to see like our dead sister's notes, like her funeral incantations and everything. And they're like, oh shit, we don't have them. We don't keep notes. We're not good at that.
Yeah.
And then they just fucking demolish the city.
Yeah.
And that's that. But it's like the Endless show up in that. It's all of them, with the exception of Despair. Is that the one? The fat one?
Yep.
Yeah,
That's the one.
she's the dead one, apparently. I don't know what the context of any of this is, but like the Endless show up because their sister died and they want to like find out information about it, and they haven't been keeping the books. They don't have the business manager on that.
Nope.
So like the city just gets torn down, and then the next incantation of the city is the current one that they're telling within the story.
A lot of stories.
A lot of stories within stories. And then the last one is about an old woman, Mistress Veltis, who would tell stories to children. She's a bit of a bitch, but she would tell stories to children. One about herself as a child, where she ran into a cavern and stumbled on an old book, which I'm assuming was supposed to be Destiny's book.
Yep.
And it starts talking to her, and there's 6 silver cerements. That's what they call it, hanging, which apparently from the visual are cloaks. So I take that as the Book of Destiny is Destiny, the 6 cloaks are the other Endless there. And Destiny is talking to her, and she says like she's running in there because she accidentally broke this flask, and she's worried she's going to get punished. And Destiny's like, oh, that's all, like, fuck, I fixed it, get out of here. She's like, what? What's the proof of that? And he's like, fuck you, get out of here, I'm going to take your hand. And then he wrecks her hand.
Yep. And then she has a withered hand.
Yeah, and she runs off. God damn, these stories are weird and don't mean anything. And then she grows up to be an old woman with a mangled hand until she's about ready to die. She goes back to the cave, she dies, and her hand returns to normal. Cool. And that's the story. Maybe I'm brushing this off as nothing. Maybe I'm missing something completely. Someone tell me if I'm wrong, but I got very little out of this.
This one was a hard one to digest just because it was so... They gave such little time and like not enough context to anything going on in these stories within a story. Too much inception going on here.
Okay.
But
Troy, what do you think of this one?
To be honest, didn't read it.
That's what I thought.
I skipped this one.
Do you have anything to share here as we're coming in under the wire?
I like the art in this.
yes.
Okay. I meant like to, unburden yourself that maybe this issue you skimmed past.
I did skim through it to look at it. Yeah.
You were under the wire.
I was under the wire, and you're like, to be fair, you can probably skip this one. Just go to the end. I'm like, fair enough, I'm going to do
I
that.
saw him instantly jump to the last part.
But you'll go back and read it later, I'm sure.
He will.
I might. I mean, the thing about crushing that chick's hand sounds pretty rad.
She didn't.
It didn't
It didn't
really
get
get
crushed.
crushed.
It
It
just
just, like,
it
kinda
just
turned
turned
purple.
withered. Yeah, it turned purple.
I might not read it then.
I may have built it up to be a bit more than it was.
I thought I was going to like a whole crushing scenario.
No,
Not at
no, he's
all.
just like, your hand's purple. Oh, it's purple now.
That's
No,
it.
You got purpled.
Well,
Shit.
Just
Like that Christmas card.
Yep. So that's that. And then this story ends because all these gravediggers are basically telling the story. The one who's telling the story about this, it's his turn to tell the story. And he's like, I don't really have a story. He's like, maybe if I could get out of this town, then maybe I'd have a story. And he says, like, well, 6 months later, I asked my teacher back at the necropolis what was up with this woman and her mangled hand and the book and the cloaks and everything. And he told me, and then we cut back to the tavern, and his master's like, shut up! Just shut up! No! Don't tell him shit. We're not telling him anything. And then they're like, okay, well, next story, anybody? And that's the end of the issue. So this guy just doesn't get to share anything.
No.
He
Old
just-
Claptrap's an old righty whore.
Yeah.
I hate him.
Yeah.
Yep, and Fairfax, or whatever the hell his name is, doesn't ever get to tell the story.
Nope.
Just gets to tell other people's stories. Not a huge fan of that one.
Nah.
We may have undersold it, but we're moving it along because I didn't get much out of that one.
Yeah. I'm going to jump to the chat real quick. Franco said he's got to go. Thanks for joining us, Franco.
Thank you, Franco.
Cedric joined joined pretty
Whoa!
late. He
Picked
said
a bad
missed the
time.
start of it. He says he's going to binge later. Great for you to join us for a second. I'm just glad you do what you do, Cedric. Thanks for joining in. Thanks for being a team player.
Thank you.
That's right. And check your patron messages. I sent you one. Let's have that check because we're gonna swing back to Sunstone.
Spoiler
A
alert.
little Valentine's Day special.
Yeah, you
Get
heard it
in
here
on that.
first.
That's right. But then that takes us to our last issue, fellas. We're
Great
rounding
stuff.
this out. World's End
Yep.
coming to an end.
Yeah.
Thank God. So they're back in the tavern. Everyone's like, all right, what the hell? What's it all mean, Basil?
Yeah, right.
What are we doing here?
Yeah.
What is this? And the owner, or the head woman here,
Right.
the shopkeep, she's like, I've told you guys, we're in the midst of a reality storm. Reality itself is dissolving around the borders.
Yeah.
And this is essentially like a safe house. Multitudes of universes are dissolving as we speak.
Yeah.
You should be fucking thankful that you're in this tavern. I mean, is that what you got out of this? Like, these
So,
people
yeah.
are some of the very few that are going to survive, like, a catastrophic, like, Crisis on Infinite Earths type of
So
event.
I looked up when this was written,
Oh.
and I was
Well,
like,
it wasn't during that.
no, it wasn't. So that's why I was like, oh, I wonder when it did happen, though. Because I was like, oh, I wonder if this happened during Crisis, and
That
this
would
is
be
like
pretty damn
the
cool.
Crisis issue of Sandman, and like all these people here are witnessing all of the combining of all universes into one,
Yeah.
and they're on the outside of it. And I was like, holy shit, that'd be kind of sweet. It's not. but
If it was.
but it still could work as one.
I mean, it kind of could be. Like, it's the Sandman version of that, essentially.
right.
Just without all the tie-ins.
Right. I don't even need a time. It just
No.
the fact that like it lives in somewhere in DC and it
Yeah.
could happen whatever. Wildcats in this.
Yep, Wildcats there.
The most insane part, we haven't read the next 2 volumes, but if that is actually what's happening in the Sandman universe, the fact that this crisis level event happens off camera while a couple randos are just telling stories in a bar while it's happening.
Yeah.
It's like this catastrophic thing is happening, but we're going to talk about this lad's life at sea.
Honestly, that's the perfect Gaiman Sandman way to do it.
Yeah.
Just sticking it to everybody.
Yeah. I wonder if it was 0 Hour maybe that's happening, but that's like a
It
crisis
could be.
in
That was
time.
like kind of 90s, right?
Yeah.
Early 90s.
Yeah, I don't know exactly the time frame it happened in, but maybe it is, maybe it isn't, doesn't matter. Still a pretty cool it's like, oh, we're all caught in a storm, a reality storm. I don't know what it is,
Sounds like a song.
but it's yeah, it sounds like a pretty sweet deal. But like I liked that in this your main guy, what's his name? Something Tucker.
Brant Tucker.
Brant Tucker's looking outside as well as everybody else, witnessing like just
A procession.
a procession, and like the skies clear up, and he can the amount of detail he said about him looking in the sky, and the sky is just endless,
Yeah.
and he's only witnessed it a few times in his
Paul.
life,
Mm-hmm.
and that was like beautifully written to me.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, he describes just like he sees this immense figure of destiny walking across the sky, and then it goes on to this just funeral procession that happens that's following him.
Yeah.
If you go to the next one, Paul. Yeah. So they're carrying this casket, and it reminds him of his father's funeral, which he thinks back to being, like, feeling hollow. He's like, even when it happened, like, I just felt like it was just fake, almost. But he's like, but witnessing this, I'm, like, feeling real tears, and I don't even know what it's for, but I'm just feeling, like, so heavy, and just the emotion is just wrecking me, and he just feels, like, tears flowing down his face.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't even know what this is, but it's big. Whatever it is, it's big.
Yeah.
And the shopkeep, the tavern owner even says, like, sometimes big things happen and they echo. And, like, that's what all this is. Whatever happened, it just, like, echoed through all existence.
Yeah.
Right.
And I wonder what, because, like, at first I thought, well, maybe it could be, like, Despair's death or whatever. But
Yeah.
She was
she's
there.
right
She's
there.
there, yup.
With
and,
Thor and Odin.
Yep.
Yeah, so I don't...
And the only one not here is Dream.
Right. And I don't know what's to come, so maybe it's something that they'll bring up later, but this was I thought, pretty rad thing that happened here in this last issue.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, it made the entire thing worthwhile.
Yes.
You're like,
Yeah.
what is the purpose of this?
Yeah.
What is going on?
Right.
And then you see, like, in the final pages, like, oh shit, something big happened.
Mm-hmm.
There's a blood moon, if that means anything. I haven't heard anything on that, but, like, the moon is red.
The biggest thing I took away from this one is actually how Death looked.
Yeah.
Because she's always been like happy-go-lucky to do her
Chipper.
job. Chipper, she is perfect at her job.
Yeah.
And she's the only one who's like on top of everything. But she looked distraught in this one. And the
Yeah.
only one that she clings to the most is Dream.
Yeah.
So it's extreme.
And in the previous volume, they're talking about the dichotomy of the endless. How, like, each one has their opposite, which they it's like a yin-yang relationship.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
they are their opposites. Like,
Yeah.
without the other one, they can't exist.
Yes.
Mhm.
Dream's opposite was reality, and we're in a reality storm.
Oh, shit.
So, like, what's
Okay.
going on
All
here?
right.
Dream's
Yeah.
missing. Obviously, I think Dream's dead.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's
Right.
what we're all taking away from
Yes,
this.
yes.
But, like, that would make sense. Reality storm, he's dead. He's missing from the funeral procession. Death is in shambles. What
All
happened?
of the Endless showed up for this.
Yeah.
So
You're like, what went on?
Right.
We can assume something went on because he also did something that apparently was frowned upon in the previous volume by killing his son,
Yeah.
Orpheus, which was like, you don't kill gods, you don't
Yeah.
kill the endless or whatever they are.
Mhm.
That's like a death-worthy sin. So he did that, and now we see his funeral. So these 2 volumes, it's gonna be like backtracking, like, what the fuck happened in this?
Yeah.
Like, I'm really intrigued now on, like,
Yeah.
what did I miss while I was listening to these drunks telling tales of this goddamn cabin?
there's a goddamn horseman in here saying, "Ride me, boy!"
Oh, we're getting to that.
okay.
But yes, that I mean, that's pretty much how it all wraps up here. So all the travelers are like, they're just kind of bitching at each other, like, what are we doing sitting around telling stories? What are we telling stories for?
Yeah.
Charlene, the passenger with Brandt, is like, these are all boys' stories. Like, what's the point of all these? They're all just stories about guys. And then Jim, the female cabin boy,
Yeah.
is like, mine wasn't. She's like, yours was a story about the absence of a woman. And it was about a bunch of guys on a ship with a giant dick out of the water. Like, yours is absolutely a boy's story. And she basically just says, like, I don't want anything to do with this. I don't need anybody. I just want to be left alone. I don't, like, she's not happy.
Right.
And then they look out the window. They're interrupted by this crazy spectacle that's going on. And they're all just, like, shook. They're like, what the fuck did we just witness? The funeral procession leaves, and then the shopkeep is like, all right, you can go. Reality storm's over. You're out of here. Go
And
ahead.
Only that you have to go.
Yeah.
Like, you can't stick around.
Yeah. You don't have,
Closing
Yep.
time.
Yeah.
you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
Yeah.
Can I just say, Cluracan, the fairy, reading his drunken dialogue made me want to fucking vomit.
Yeah.
As he was describing how fucking trashed he was.
Yeah.
I was probably reading it somewhat drunk at this time, and I was like, this guy is going to put me over the edge.
Oh,
I'm going to
God.
wind up in the bathroom reading his slurred speech. But one of the crazy necromancer guys, like, I don't want to go back to my stupid necropolis. I want to go with you, Brant. And Brant's like, I'm busy. Like, I gotta drive Charlene home.
Yeah.
And then the centaur's like, hop on me, boy. And he just hops on him, and they bolt out of there. He just rides off on that centaur.
Yeah.
He
Fucking
looks
love
so
it.
happy to ride that
Oh
guy.
my
dude.
god, they
Look
both
at him.
look
He's
happy.
just tipping his hat. He's like, fuck yeah, man.
They look thrilled to have each
Just-
other
oh
in
my
that
God.
moment.
Both have huge horse boners.
Yeah, I love it. He's like, there we go. Now, hold tight.
Hold.
Gallops out of there
Love it.
to go wherever.
As like his master's like, no, get back here, get off that horse person.
Yeah,
Come back to your tomb.
We got another sky burial to watch.
Yeah, we gotta watch these buzzards eat some guts. And then the very end resolution, Brand's like, all right, Charlene, we ready to go? And she's like, no, I don't want to go. I'm fucking staying here. I got nothing left for me there.
Right.
He's like, okay. And then it snaps back to reality. He says, like, I woke up, the car was untouched. I woke up in a McDonald's parking lot, and I came here, and he's in this bar, and he's telling the bartender, and he's like, and apparently this Charlene girl's never existed. Like, I remember her, but I looked into it, and, like, she is a void.
Like,
Yeah.
all the papers were in his name. It was his car the whole time.
Yeah.
I loved that ending.
That's
Like, it
cool.
almost made me think, like, holy shit, did they just, like, being as, like, how that changed reality, did it just put him in another reality where she never existed? Or is he in the same one that he was in? It's, like, all that that multi-dimensional shit that's, like, just so bonkers.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's a... Yeah, that's a fun way to... Because I looked at it as like a weird Twilight Zone-y kind of ending.
Yeah, very Twilight Zone-y.
But that... The way you said it is like a way more, like, DC, like, reality rippled, and now... Frickin' Jason Todd is alive, and Charlene never existed.
That was the switch.
Tit for
We
tat.
were all prepared to pay it. Charlene
Was beat
what's
to
she
death.
done lately?
Yep.
Groped at a Christmas party.
Yeah, beaten to death by Joker, by crowbar.
Turns out she was just groped by Joker now.
To death.
Yeah, I really liked it. But then even the barkeep's like, so how do I know you're just not making this shit up? He's like, I fucking know it's real. Like, I saw it.
Yeah.
I saw it! And I just love that. Like, he's got no other explanation. Be like, you just gotta believe me. I know what I
Right.
saw.
And she's like, yeah, I've heard stuff like that before.
Yeah.
I've heard weirder.
And I
I
like
saw a
that.
centaur before.
Yeah, I saw a dead man ride a centaur out of a building before. But I like how that tied back to the sailor story, where it's just like, yeah, we see
very
shit
true.
all the time.
Yeah.
And like, you can tell people are not, but they're not, they'll either just be like, yeah, sure, or not believe you. But
Yeah.
like, just, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Like, you just,
Yeah.
you saw
Right.
it, you know it, and that's
Yeah.
all that matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, good call on the sailor story. I
Yeah.
didn't even connect that. But yeah, they told him, like, shit, normies, they're not going to believe this. You
Right.
just keep it to yourself. Like,
Right.
it's for us.
Yeah.
You know? We saw the shit.
Yeah.
Great ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To some kind of middle stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot.
As always, as we talked through it, I enjoyed it more than on the initial read.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
This was a tough one because I read this late at night and it just kept putting me to sleep.
Yeah, I didn't even read it late at night. I just kind of read it like after I put the kids to bed, and it would put me to bed real quick. Like, I don't know, reading just automatically makes me tired anyway. I don't know, that's unfair to me being a comic
Maybe you
lover.
need to stand up while reading.
Maybe I should. But like, I'd just sit down to read, and this would put me out in an instant. I
Yeah.
don't know. And it's not even bad, it's just so calming, and I don't know what it is. It's
too
just
cozy. That cozy world's end.
Yeah, I know. So, But like this one, I did struggle to get through all the way. Obviously, I didn't even finish that necromancer story or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Swing back.
But
Swing back for the finale.
I did finish the very end of it.
Yeah.
Right at the very last minute.
The 0 hour.
It is, yeah, and that's kind of what I wanted to wrap up on this, and like on my thoughts were, it's like, yeah, even though this might have been, it's hard to say, it was probably the weakest, I'd say, but like, it's still good.
Yeah.
Like, it's still good. Like, it has a big impact, like, and even that ending impact, like, even the stuff in between, or like, from start to finish, like, there's still stuff to gain from it.
Yeah.
So, like, it's not, I wouldn't, like, it's still definitely a vital part to the story, I would say.
And I also feel like at least I personally feel like I am knowingly selling it short. Because, like, I'm reading this for, like, the full Sandman experience. And not for, like, some of these are just good individual stories on their own.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I'm looking at this as, like, I just want the whole, like, universal thing. But it's, like, maybe, like, once I've had that, I just want to read, like, the Prez story again.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
Just like, that was a good one. I just want that one by itself.
Well, I'll tell you something you can read. Cedric in the chat says he's got to write and draw a new DC book called Charlene. Get on the horn, Cedric. Write it up. I will read it for sure.
Yes. God.
It's about Charlene that didn't go back. She's still there at the tavern. Only naked.
Getting fondled by the Joker. Is it the spiritual sequel to Harleen there?
Oh, ooh.
Sedgwick, I've got it on the shelf. We're gonna read
right
it.
here.
We're gonna read it next year. Trust me. That was one of the ones we donated to the classroom.
That's
too.
right.
That's right.
A lot of Harley Quinn fans there. It was a big hit.
That's right.
We couldn't put a bunch of other stuff because they're high schoolers, Cedric, so...
We tried to sneak them in there, but they didn't get past the security. But yeah, overall, I mean, all these anthology books, I feel like they're tough to get through when we're reading it for the full experience.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then thinking back, I'm gonna think to some of these anthologies.
Yeah,
Because they're
so
just
am I.
like, they're just these little standalone things. Like, yeah, that was a weird one.
Yeah.
Remember the Marco Polo in the desert one? Didn't like that much, but I remember it.
Yeah.
And like, maybe I'll like it on the second
I think
one.
there are potential, like, connecting the dot kind of things that are just so interesting. Like, even in the Prez one, where it's just like, I want to learn about this because I feel like, whether or not it's true, could connect to something that we either have or will read.
Right.
Yeah.
That could be important.
Yeah.
God, we're gonna get into some Wildcat shit. I
Oh,
can feel
we
it.
know! Oh, my God. Hell yeah. His floppy ass ears.
Hell yeah.
So we have a voicemail. We should probably knock that out. Friend of the show, fiend of the show, as we like to say. Sam has given us a voicemail on this. He might be able to eloquently state some of the thoughts we have a little bit better than we can ourselves at this
good deal.
juncture, and we'll also refill our brewskis.
Oh, wow. Good deal.
So, Paul, if you want to
Take it
cue
away,
that
Sam.
up here.
So, World's End. It's the Batman the Animated Series Almost Got Him episode, which is just a bunch of people sitting around telling a story about a similar theme. Same thing happens here, except the end reveal, which in Batman is just Killer Croc's Batman. He threw a rock at him, blah, blah, blah. Here, it's something that completely recontextualizes everything you've just read. It's far more harrowing and far more bold. Each tale being told in each issue, or multiple tales in some issues, which, Christ, does that just drain you whilst reading, is about how the people telling them slip between a reality and a dream, and then back again. And the experience inspires them. This act, of course, made possible because reality is storming, and these people have taken refuge in a sort of dream inn, the titular inn, that gives this volume its name. Amazingly, though, Gaiman takes the piss out of every story and himself by calling out that these are just boys' tales and not how the world works. And when the character stating this fucking brilliantly insane meta critique is called out by the only woman who told a story, she lets out a, "Oh, sure, Jim, your story was about seeing a big old cock in the ocean. Idiot." But then Gaiman shows us this world. His world's end. A funeral procession of giants in the stars. He shows us the loss of an endless dream is dead. This recontextualizes everything we've just read. Suddenly, these aren't individual tales of dreams, but individual eulogies for dream. It's as if all living things across time, space, reality, and reason subconsciously know that dream has died. All the trappings of death are for the living. It's the final reconciliation, the last farewell. That's what's happening here. And so, they tell their stories. Not just as a way to mourn, but as a way to continue the legacy of dream, as a way to keep dream alive. Reality is a fragile thing, and dreams shape. Well, you get it. For us, the reader, this is a fucking bold mindfuck of a move for the story. And again, if Gaiman sucked, this would be hack garbage that wouldn't just be a coffin nail in Dream's casket, but in the audience's give a shit about this story. What a fucking swing, Gaiman. And you nailed it in hindsight. My curiosity for the final 2 volumes of what doubtlessly has some let's go back tropes to give us a conclusion to is boundless because of this. However, I can't help but imagine what it must have felt like reading this issue to issue, to see the story skipping ahead off panel, reaching this reveal, and not knowing for sure if this was the end. And if it was, I don't think it would be satisfying. I mean, we just got Move Pumpkinhead. You can't end it now.
All right.
Thank you, Sam.
Thanks, Sam.
Always insightful.
Very good.
Very insightful.
I like that he can break these down quicker than we can do a full episode.
Even when, like, this is a 6-issue one, which is much shorter than most of these, and we're like, all right, none of us really like this. This is going to be a quick one. And we talk for an hour and a half. We didn't even bring in the dream timer. My God, I can't believe this.
Start it now.
All right, let's start now. 1 hour.
Here we are.
All right. But yeah, that's about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Any final thoughts on World's End?
Where it ended up, I want to make sure I keep that in mind so I don't forget that things exist in this book and then I forget them later when they're important.
Yep.
100%.
100% on that.
So that's pretty much what I'm looking forward to knowing what's coming of that funeral procession.
Yeah.
I am constantly, when I, like, distance myself from this, where, like, I'll read a volume or read an issue and I'm like, nothing much happened.
Yeah.
I have to keep reminding myself, it is amazing that this was a, like, critically acclaimed, top-selling title, and DC Vertigo allowed Neil Gaiman to just write whatever he wanted.
Yeah.
And some of the issues were just like this.
Yes.
We're just like Prez.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yes.
And, like, this was, like, a top-selling book. And it's still, like, one of the best, like, comic literature books of all time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, they don't all have to be big, like, earth-shattering issues. Some of them can just be about, like, a story at sea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that is really cool. I love that. I love that this book waved the flag for comics to do that. They don't all have to be just big punch-em-ups.
And we're reading this at the whole trade. Like, that would have been an issue for the whole month.
That's a month, yeah. You're like,
so,
all right, I guess.
I read about a guy in a boat.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. Yeah.
It actually was a girl.
Oh, what a twist.
What a twist.
Yeah, I mean, as someone that, like, I pride myself on not being, like, the big blockbuster mentality. But, like, when you're reading something like this, you're just like, oh, this is the best, is critically heralded as the best comic book series ever.
Right.
And every issue you expect to be this mind-blowing thing.
Right.
And I think the beauty of Sandman is so many of them aren't that. They're just very subtle,
Right.
like, understated things that you read them once and you're like, what the fuck was that? But you can't, like, get them out of your head. And the more you think about them, you're like, actually, that really resonated with me for some reason.
Right.
I can't even put my finger on it. But, like, there's just something about it that was special.
Yeah.
And it's amazing that got made.
And it probably pulls from so much literature that we are not well read enough to even realize, like, what it's hearkening back to. So it's like
the poem, like. I didn't know it was based on a goddamn poem.
But then you hear the poem read beautifully by Neil Bradbury, British Neil.
Yeah.
And you're like, holy shit, that gives this so much more oomph.
Yeah.
You know?
The only thing I kept thinking of was the Edgar Wright movie.
I know, me
Actually,
too.
that's what I wanted to bring up. That was brought up earlier in the chat about how that was, if maybe Edgar Wright had if that has any, ties whatsoever.
Right.
I mean, obviously the movie's quite a bit different than this, but there's no centaur. But
that's true.
Paul, you were sharing with me a little fun fact about the World's End. Care to turn your mic on?
Yes, me and my significant other were actually planning on going to Scotland in 2020. Didn't happen. But we're going in 2022, and we're going to be like a couple city blocks away from...
Kilometers, they call it.
Sorry, couple city kilometers away from the World's End out in Scotland, in Edinburgh.
Oh, my God.
I learned that you can't say Edinburgh, you need to say Edinburgh. Edinburgh?
That's how I say it.
Edinburgh.
There's a haunting in Edinburgh. Maybe GHD needs to go do a quick investigation.
Hey.
They made a movie about that.
We'll take a carry-on. We'll stow you.
Yeah, stow me away in there.
Yep.
don't forget the card.
Yep. Don't bring that card. So,
But still a fun time. After, God dang. Gaiman's got his hooks in you. It keeps you wanting to keep going.
I will say, though, I didn't convince myself I love this one as much as the last
No,
time.
I was going to say, that was my thing I said before the show is like the last episode or the last anthology, are we going to convince each other this was our favorite trailer? Not so much for this one, but it does have significant impact, and some stuff does have some just cool little plot threads in it.
Yeah, it does.
at this juncture, we're 2 away from the end.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a favorite right now? I know this is throwing it way out there. We don't have them all in front of us. Do you have any high water marks right now? None of this has to be set in stone.
What about that stone we got Paul for Christmas?
Well, that one, yes. We'll need to set something on it.
That's hard to say. I'd have to look at them all again to refresh myself on what they were.
I would have to look through them again too, but I know some of my favorite stuff does include Dream in it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Call me crazy. Go ahead and do it.
Crazy!
Thank you. And a lot of Sandman fans say it gets better as it goes on. My favorite might be Volume 1 still.
Yeah.
Volume 1's very good.
Very
You
strong.
get the full-on, you meet Dream, he's in prison for 100 years, he breaks out, gets revenge, and then he gets his shit together, and then we get that confrontation at the diner with Dr. Destiny.
Yeah.
And that it also ends with the first meeting of Death in there.
Yeah.
God damn, that's
That's
good
pretty
volume.
strong. Yeah.
I mean, that one's so all over the place, too. And then some of the other ones, where the Key to Hell and all that, that's good, but it's all, just kind of this very small scale dinner table scene, essentially. I don't know. I love that it can be all these different things.
Yeah. I'd love to bring that up on our final episode to see what we all think, because at that point, I want to go back through and at least refresh myself on what happened in each volume was.
Yeah, same.
So we've got 2 more Sandman live stream book clubs. We got January, we've got February, and then that's it. That's volume 10. And then we got something really big planned for March on. Which it's gonna, there's not gonna be any live streams. We gotta put our fortitude into something else at that point. But 2 more months of this, and then we're done. And I think I do want to do like an all-encompassing Sandman episode, not a live one, just like an Imperius Rex proper.
Yeah.
Because no one watches the live ones. But like a full-on like overview of Sandman as a whole, where once we've done the whole series month to month, we can just look back and just like do our greatest hits on it and our you know, bird's eye view of our whole feelings on it.
Right.
So we'll do that. And then there's like Overture and Death and all these, where it's like I do want to talk on those, but March is spoken for, so we gotta take a little break there.
All right. Well, I think that's a good enough time to just wrap up this episode then.
Yeah.
We do it.
So, everybody watching this, what did you think of this volume of Sandman? Did you like the anthology? What were your favorite stories in this anthology? Were you as taken with Prez as much as we were?
God.
Let us know in the comments down below. But until then, I've been Troy to the Max Extreme.
I've been Dinosaur Neil.
And I've been Ghost Hunter Dave. And
We
before
thank
we
Paul
go,
over here.
we want to thank Paul.
Producer Paul.
We want to thank Paul. We would love to thank our patrons that help keep the lights on, keep Paul paid in pizzas from Casey.
Is this the first time he wasn't shoving his mouth full of chicken in an episode?
Oh, man.
Might have been. Might have been.
But
All
yeah,
the
here's
patrons
our
there.
list of patrons. You can join our Patreon and get access to cool bonus features in such early episodes, and access to our Discord channel.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. And we've also got some garbage on Redbubble if you want to, if you'd like to.
You can pick yourself up a DreamStream shirt. Awesome illustration by Dave and myself. Can get yourself in the spirit.
That's right. There's more than what we show here. This is just a stock image that I just reuse for every.
You
every
get to
stream.
wear his Dinosaur Neil clock.
Yeah,
You
that's
can.
right.
You can.
Ren,
And it's the perfect.
Ren is dinosaur. Oh, I wish I could say get one of these nice Willem Dafoe shirts, but that came from elsewhere.
Yeah. Came from
remember-
Troy.
Yeah, I can't remember where I got it.
Probably
present.
from Redbubble.
Yeah. While you're there, pick up some from us.
But until next time, I've been Troy to the Max
We already
Extreme.
did.
Dinosaur
Hey,
Neil.
No, I'm not gonna say it.
All
He's
right,
been Ghost
see you
Hunter
later.
Dave.
Bye.
Bye.
You are now departing the Mysterious Imperius DreamStream. We hope your stay was restful and brimming with fantastic imaginings. Until next time, friends, sweet dreams and pleasant tomorrows. This has been Imperius Rex.